Why it sucks to be a medieval prisoner. Close your eyes for a second. You're not in a dungeon yet. You're still free. You're standing in a medieval street, mud under your feet, smoke in the air, bells ringing somewhere far away. Then someone grabs you. No warning, no explanation, no "you have the right to remain silent." Just iron hands on your shoulders. And the worst part? You don't even know what you're being accused of. Stealing bread, saying the wrong thing, being in the wrong place, or being someone the wrong person doesn't like. You're dragged through stone corridors, down steps carved centuries ago. The light disappears behind you. A door opens, and then it slams shut. No trial, no sentence, no release date. Welcome to Unplayable. And today, we're asking a question that sounds simple, but has a horrifying answer. Why did it suck so badly to be a medieval prisoner? Because here's the thing. We imagine medieval prisons like movie sets. Dark, scary, uncomfortable, but still temporary. You do your time, you serve your sentence, you get out. That's how modern prison works. So the real question isn't just, why was it bad? The real question is, was medieval prison even meant to keep people alive? Or was it something else entirely? Part 1. Medieval prison was not a punishment. Here's the first thing most people get wrong. Medieval prison was not the punishment. It was the waiting room. If you were guilty, your punishment was execution, mutilation, public humiliation, exile. If you were innocent, you still waited. In the dark, in chains, in filth. Prison existed to hold you until someone decided what to do with you, and sometimes that decision never came. People rotted in cells for months or years simply because paperwork didn't exist, records were lost, or no one cared enough to finish the case. You weren't serving time. Time was serving you. Part 2. The cells themselves. Let's talk about the cell, because calling it a cell is being generous. Imagine a stone box. No windows, no bed, no toilet, no light. Just stone. Cold, wet, alive with mold. Your bathroom? A corner. Your bed? The floor. Your blanket? Hope. Rats didn't sneak in. They lived there. And they weren't afraid of you. Why would they be? You weren't the dominant creature in that room anymore. Some cells were so small you couldn't lie down fully. Others were so deep underground that sunlight never reached them. You lost track of days, weeks, even seasons. People forgot what time felt like. Part 3. Chains, shackles, and pain. Medieval prisoners weren't just locked in. They were restrained. Iron shackles around ankles, chains across wrists, sometimes chained to walls. Not because you were dangerous, but because pain was part of control. The iron rubbed skin raw. Infections formed. Bones weakened. If you complained, congratulations. You just proved you were still alive enough to suffer more. Some prisoners were suspended in chains, not fully hanging, just enough so their feet barely touched the ground. Your muscles screamed, your joints burned. Sleep became impossible, and that was considered normal. Part 4. Food, or the lack of it. Now let's talk about food, or rather, the slow disappearance of it. Medieval prisons didn't feed prisoners properly. In many places, they didn't feed them at all. If your family didn't bring food, you starved. If you had no family, you starved faster. Meals were stale bread, thin gruel, sometimes nothing for days. And water? Often contaminated. Prisoners didn't die dramatically. They shrank. They faded. They became quiet. Hunger was part of the system because starving prisoners were weaker, quieter, easier to control. Part 5. Disease and death. Now combine everything so far: darkness, filth, Starvation, wounds, rats, no hygiene. What do you get? Disease. Plagues spread easily inside prisons. So did infections. So did parasites. If one prisoner got sick, everyone got sick. There was no medical care, no isolation, no mercy. Dead bodies weren't removed quickly. Sometimes they stayed until guards felt like dealing with them. The smell alone broke people. You weren't afraid of dying. You were afraid of watching everyone else die first. Part 6. Torture was part of the process. Here's where it gets darker. Medieval prisons weren't just holding facilities. They were tools. Torture wasn't hidden. It was procedural. You were tortured to extract confessions, name accomplices, satisfy authority, or simply prove guilt. In medieval logic, if you confessed, you were guilty. If you didn't, you were hiding something. Either way, you lost. And once you confessed, it didn't end the pain, it validated it. Part 7. The psychological break. Here's the part that really destroys people. Isolation, silence, uncertainty. You didn't know when you'd be questioned, when you'd be punished, when you'd be released, or if you'd ever leave. No clocks, no calendars, no voices, just your thoughts. People talked to walls, to rats, to shadows, not because they were crazy, but because the human brain can't survive nothingness. Many prisoners confessed to crimes they never committed, not to stop pain, but to make something happen. The truth about medieval prison. So now we can answer the burning question, why did it suck so badly to be a medieval prisoner? Because medieval prison was never designed for justice, it was designed for control. It wasn't about rehabilitation, it wasn't about fairness, it wasn't even about guilt. It was about fear. Prison was a warning, a message carved in stone that said, this is what happens when you fall out of line. Survival was accidental, death was acceptable, suffering was expected. And freedom? Freedom was rare. So the next time you hear someone say, people were tougher back then, remember this, they weren't tougher, they were trapped. And if you were a medieval prisoner, you weren't serving a sentence, you were waiting to disappear. Fade out.